This is United Network News with Sunny Galt, Calen, Kimberly Gogan, and our field messengers from around the world. Here's today's real news.
Soaking up the sunlight has long been associated with health risks like skin cancer and premature aging due to ultraviolet or UV radiation exposure. However, recent studies suggest solar radiation and the associated production of vitamin D may have beneficial effects to help reduce the number of cancer cases and their outcome.
A study published in the Journal of Investigative Dermatology in 2024 suggests while ultraviolet radiation is known to be a skin carcinogen, no studies have actually linked sun exposure to higher overall mortality rates. In fact, a recent study conducted in the United Kingdom and published in the journal Health and Place found more UV exposure can lower the chances of dying from cardiovascular disease and cancer. Interestingly, the risk of dying from melanoma, the most dangerous type of skin cancer, didn't much change with UV exposure. While smaller studies have hinted at the health benefits before, this is the biggest study to show a clear link between UV exposure and living longer.
Sunlight reduces the size of internal cancerous tumors.
I thought sun causes cancer.
Well,
everybody says stay out of the sun because it causes cancer.
That's right. They did a study at Baylor University where they took two groups of experimental animals. They gave one the standard American diet, which is terrible. They gave the other one a highly nutritious diet. Then they exposed both groups of animals to the ultraviolet rays of the sun. In the group on the standard American diet, 25% got skin cancer. In the group on the highly nutritious diet, not one animal got skin cancer. It's the way we're eating. Skin cancer is a relatively new phenomenon in the last 60 years or so, and yet our ancestors for hundreds of years have been living outdoors, working outdoors, and they didn't get skin cancer. It's a new phenomenon.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention advises protecting ourselves from UV radiation by staying in the shade, wearing clothing that covers our arms and legs, using wide-brimmed hats, and choosing sunglasses and sunscreen that block UVA and UVB rays. But this raises an important question. How can we produce vitamin D if we're avoiding UVB rays? Vitamin D plays a big role in overall health, yet statistics show in the U.S. alone, 42% of U.S. adults are deficient. For children, the stats are even higher. 50% of kids between the ages of 1 and 5 and 70% of kids 6 to 11 have low vitamin D levels. Vitamin D deficiency is a global issue, and studies show sunlight is the best source of vitamin D. It's free, and our bodies naturally regulate absorption to prevent excess. However, modern lifestyles keep us indoors, and standard glass blocks almost all UVB rays while letting UVA rays through, further impacting vitamin D levels. Researchers from the Queensland Institute of Medical Research say even mild to moderate vitamin D deficiency is a problem. People with higher vitamin D levels seem to be healthier, but oddly enough, trials with vitamin D supplements don't show the same benefits. There's growing evidence sunlight does more than just help your body make vitamin D.
To make vitamin D in your skin from the sun, there are 3 key things to remember. The UV index outside must be above 3. Your shadow must be shorter than you. And the more skin you have exposed, the more vitamin D you will make. If the UV index is below 3, the sun is not strong enough to make vitamin D in your skin. If your shadow is long, like it is early in the morning or in late afternoon, the UVB rays needed to produce vitamin D cannot get through the atmosphere. If you don't expose any skin to sunlight or you use sunscreen on your exposed skin as directed, you will not make any vitamin D. The higher the sun is in the sky, the more vitamin D you will make in the least amount of time. The sun is your #1 source for vitamin D because it also provides additional health benefits that are not found in a supplement. So get outside in the sunshine and make some vitamin D. Remember to know your skin and skin type. Don't burn.
As with most things in life, Excess can lead to problems, and too much sun exposure is no exception. So how much sun is good for you? Well, the answers are often conflicting, leaving us with more questions than clarity. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency recommends staying out of the sun between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., since that's when the rays are strongest, even in winter or at higher altitudes. On the other hand, the National Institutes of Health suggests getting 5 to 30 minutes of sun on your face, arms, legs, or back without sunscreen between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Many other health sites even say midday is the best time. The bottom line? How much sun you need depends on things like where you live, the season, your skin type, and your risk of skin cancer. During the winter, and especially if you live above 35 degrees latitude, it's really hard or even impossible to get enough vitamin D from sunlight. When sunshine is not an option for you, using an indoor UV device may be a good alternative. These devices mimic the sun's rays and can help stimulate the production of vitamin D in your skin, just like being outside in the sun.
The ultimate way to get vitamin D3 through your skin is through UVB. The sun provides a certain amount of UVB, but it's very sensitive, means it could be filtered out by clouds, extra airplane fuel, anything in the sky that could block that out. Even panes of clear glass through your window could block it out. So just because you have a sunburn doesn't mean that you're uptaking vitamin D. The sunburn is caused from UVA, which is the majority of sunlight. And the drops aren't long-term sustainable. So you want to look for something that has UVB. This is 5. This is a bulb that's 10, puts out a lot stronger UVB. UVB is what you're looking for vitamin D. And you can even get the smaller bulbs that say UVB 10. And twice a week, great, works good, gives you UVB. Pass it over the body for 10 minutes.
Getting enough sunlight is a simple but often overlooked way to boost our health. Sunlight provides red and near-infrared light that supports our cells. It also optimizes vitamin D and contributes to our mood and energy levels. That said, it's all about balance. Get your sun exposure, but don't forget proper protection and moderation. Stay mindful, enjoy the sunshine, and soak it up responsibly.
The Aleutian Islands in Alaska offer a unique mix of natural beauty and history. UNN Field Messenger Lana takes us on a journey through these beautiful islands.
Hello, my name is Lana and I live in Anchorage, Alaska. I'm a field messenger for United Network News. Recently I traveled to Dutch Harbor in the town of Unalaska, located in the Aleutian Islands. There are hundreds of emerald green volcanic islands in this chain, 40 of which are still active. Greeting us was a large welcome sign. Because I was tagging along with hubby, I took pictures and videos when I could. The first place we stopped was the Russian Orthodox Church. In the late 1700s, the Russians were the first white people to come to the islands and shores of Alaska. Here is an old bunker located near the church. These bunkers are found all over town. The town of Unalaska has less than 5,000 people. All the industry revolves around maritime trades. There are giant fish plants, storage areas, harvesting ships, fishing ships, etc. We are now down at one of the harbors, and there is a large gathering of sea otters. Now we are off to drive to the top of one of the mountains. There are very few roads on the island, but there are 2 vehicle rentals. When coming down, we noticed a few holes in the side of the hill. These are escape bunkers for the townfolk during World War II. Luckily, that night at the hotel had the famous Wednesday seafood buffet. The Grand Aleutian has been there for decades and is famous throughout the state for its food. Well, we're back to the airport the next morning for our flight home. I hope you enjoyed my little tour of Unalaska. in the Aleutian Islands of Alaska, Dutch Harbor. Thanks for watching.
The Canary Islands have a rich maritime heritage rooted in the tradition of Vela Latina sailing. UNN Field Messenger Emma explores the fascinating history and competitive spirit of this ancient practice.
Hi, this is Emma, Field Messenger for UNN, reporting from Fuerteventura, Spain. To keep the tradition and to remind people of the Canarian tradition, they arrange regattas with the original small open wooden boats that were used for everything in the first recording of the history of the Canary Islands. These boats are called Los Botes de Vela Latina Canarias, originally came from the Mediterranean and was originally boats rowed with oars by a group of slaves. However, during the beginning of the Roman Empire, which is 27 BC and 180 AD, where new trade routes were developed, they started developing sail rigs on these boats. It was less and less profitable to maintain a large crew of slaves, and they were forced to improve their ways of transporting goods. These small open boats were important for the expansion of the colonization or the settlements and trade of the Canary Islands in the 14th and the 15th and the 16th century. This is the origin and the traditions that have formed these islands. It is confirmed mainly by the notes of the expedition of Jaime Ferrer in 1357. It's the only written proof that they have. And most of the ships arriving in the Canary Islands at the time are of the same type, this Vela Latina, because it was the best to reach the archipelago compared to the vessels with the square sails. This was a vessel capable of tracing from Africa to Europe and was the best Latin sailing technique to reach the Canary Islands because of the very strong winds. In the Canarias, the boats were mostly used for fishing. They went as far as the coast of Africa in the beginning, but they did not use the sails because of the strong winds. They were afraid of losing their cargo from the small open boats. However, after they became more professional, they started competing among themselves to see how could return home first. In the beginning, it was said that they used the oars and tested different materials as sail. So now the Vela Latina Canaria is the standard boat that they are using here in their regattas to compete among the islands. The minimum crew for each boat is 8 people, and the maximum is 13. It is necessary to coordinate the movements inside the boat, which they have their positions inside the boats, and each crew has a specific task. There are specific vocabulary for the navigation of the Vela Latina Canaria, and the crew have to work hard with the difficult maneuvers and navigations in the boat. They are propelled by the wind, and the crew are responsible for directing the boat and trying to make the most out of the kinetics. Some sources suggest that it was the Nile River where the first Latin sailing vessels are manufactured, and that the sailors and the merchants were responsible for spreading the use of these boats to the Mediterranean and consequently to the Atlantic. And the most important topic of the Gran Canaria are the championship, the elimination trophy of the Gran Canaria, and they have been having these tournaments since 1963, so it's a very old tradition. So most of the wooden boats are owned privately, but they have sponsors, so it's a fun tradition, and loads of people come and look at the regattas when they have them. Hope you liked the report. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Dental implants are a game changer for missing teeth. They offer a long-lasting, natural-looking alternative to traditional options and blend perfectly with your other teeth. They've transformed countless smiles and brought confidence back to so many people. Unfortunately, dental implant scams have become a concerning issue, affecting thousands of unsuspecting patients.
In a joint investigation by KFF Health News and CBS News, experts are raising concerns that dentists might be prioritizing implants over saving natural teeth. They believe some dentists are too quick to pull healthy teeth, pushing implants for financial reasons. In fact, 10 specialists shared in interviews they've given second opinions to patients who were unnecessarily told they needed full mouth implants. This misleading advice can cost patients excessive amounts, reaching up to $65,000 for procedures that could have been resolved with more routine and affordable treatments. The alarming trend of unnecessary dental work has been described as a horror show by oral surgeons who regularly encounter patients seeking second opinions. These unethical practices exploit patients and financially jeopardize their oral health. Across the U.S., lawsuits show a troubling pattern. Some patients have dealt with painful complications that required corrective surgery, while others claim their dentist pressured them into removing teeth they didn't actually need to lose. Some patients said they've met with a salesperson who convinced them to agree to finance options before even speaking with a dentist about dental implants.
I've done a lot of them. I'm against their overuse and their inappropriate use.
Yeah.
This is what happens. There are a lot of people who can do good implants, and there are very few who can do good crown and bridge. So in their mind, they're like what I would call one-trick ponies, because the answer to everything is implants. And they stretch it beyond the limitations of what it's designed for. And that's why a lot of people get into trouble, because they don't all work the way they say.
For many people, dental implants in their own country can be expensive, often making it unaffordable. Dental tourism is becoming more popular, offering a cost-effective alternative to traditional implant procedures. For example, dental implants abroad can result in 70 to 90% cost savings for U.S. and UK citizens without compromising the quality of service provided. According to the Journal of Travel Medicine, around 3 to 4 million people travel abroad annually for dental care, with dental implants being amongst the most sought-after procedures. While it's an exciting option, there are risks, including scams. Some clinics may turn out to be fake, run by people who aren't qualified, despite their impressive but fake credentials online. Others make big promises about miracle treatments that sound amazing, but aren't backed by science. Remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Sometimes the clinic you visit doesn't meet the promised standards, with poor hygiene or outdated equipment. Hidden costs are another red flag. What seems like a great deal up front can result in surprise fees later.
Yeah, so pretty much what I've seen happen sometimes is, the patient comes in, they're very excited to be here. They're thinking they're getting like a really great deal because whatever company or medical tourism sent them down here, told them, you know what, you're going to go down to this place. You're going to be getting this and this and this for this amount. And the patient's like, oh, yeah, I'm getting a really great deal. So they fly down from New York, Alaska, Washington, very far away, even Canada sometimes.
Yeah.
And they get down here. We pick them up at the airport, bring them down to the border, get them into their consultation, get their CT scan done. Doctor gives them their estimate. And then when we give them the estimate, they're like, wait, but this wasn't what I was told,
Oh.
To protect yourself from dental implant scams, there are several steps you can take. Start by doing thorough research on the dentist or dental clinic before making any decisions. Look for reputable reviews and testimonials from previous patients. Ask for a detailed treatment plan and cost breakdown to ensure transparency and avoid surprise fees. Also, be cautious of significantly lower prices, as they may indicate subpar materials or inadequate expertise. Dentists who pressure patients into making immediate decisions, offer steep discounts or special deals, or refuse to provide detailed explanations of the procedure and its cost should be approached with caution. These are all tactics commonly used to manipulate patients into agreeing to unnecessary and expensive dental implant procedures. Remember, you can always decline treatment and take time to do more research before deciding. Don't hesitate to visit multiple dentists to compare communication, costs, and overall experience.
So I go to a new dentist in California for a standard cleaning. The next thing I know, I'm hearing terms like, you need that deep cleaning. Your teeth could fall out. $2,000 special if you act now. Suddenly, I feel like I went from the dentist chair to a bazaar in Egypt trying to sell me a souvenir I don't really need. And I'm obviously not a dentist, so I don't know what I actually need or not. The dentist industry in the US is a multi-billion-dollar industry. There are more than 160,000 dentists in the US, and they see more than 1 billion patients every year. But unfortunately, there are a number of dentists who are considered scams. These dentists may overcharge their patients, perform unnecessary procedures, or fail to provide adequate care. Now, many dentists are good and ethical, but everyone I speak to seems to have similar stories on a dentist trying to upsell them on more and more services that they're not sure they actually need.
Dental implants are a reliable and innovative solution that has revolutionized the field of restorative dentistry. With their ability to restore both function and aesthetics, they have become a go-to option for individuals seeking permanent tooth replacement. Instances of dental implant scams should not stop you from exploring this option. Stay informed and consult with a qualified and experienced dental professional to determine if dental implants are the right choice for your needs. Schools are more than just places for lessons and homework. It's where young minds grow, friendships are built, and futures take shape. But for all of this to happen, one thing is essential: safety. When students, teachers, and parents feel safe, the focus shifts from worry to learning, creating, connecting, and making sure everyone feels like they belong.
When we think about school safety, gun violence often dominates the conversation. While this issue is undeniably important, school safety is a much broader topic. It encompasses everything from physical security to mental well-being, ensuring students and staff have a safe, supportive environment. So how are we doing? School violence is a global issue, and statistics can vary wildly depending on the country and region. UNESCO reports 1 in 3 students worldwide has experienced some form of violence in and around school, whether physical, verbal, or psychological. In the U.S., the National Center for Education Statistics surveys 4,800 public elementary and secondary schools every couple of years. Based on their most recent data from the 2021 to 2022 school year, 67% of public schools reported having at least one violent incident. 71% reported an incident with illegal drugs. There was also a 1-point increase in the amount of hate crimes reported. Schools were asked what factors were holding them back from reducing or preventing crime, and the top 2 answers were pretty telling. About 30% said a major challenge was the lack of insufficient alternative programs for disruptive students, while 27% pointed to not having enough funding.
I just wrote an email to the superintendent in my child's school district because since the beginning of the school year, my son has been physically assaulted numerous times. It's been reported and dealt with, but essentially it comes down to inadequate supervision. He attends a high school with almost 3,000 students, and there just isn't adequate supervision in all of these instances in which he was physically assaulted, like hit, slapped, literally punched in the face. There was not a single adult that witnessed any of this. And these incidents occurred in front of a classroom and during a class, which tells me that there's not enough supervision. Students just go off the handle for no reason. Little tiny things, they just lose it. And they're not being taught appropriate social skills at home or at school. And why aren't teachers teaching social skills? Well, because we're not therapists, for one, but for 2 because where, when, how? How do we fit it in?
Bullying and cyberbullying are significant issues in U.S. schools, affecting a large number of students. The National Bullying Prevention Center says 1 in 5 students report being bullied at school, with verbal and social bullying being the most common forms. The widespread use of social media and digital technology has resulted in cases of cyberbullying, impacting about 15 to 20% of students, more common in middle school. Both types of bullying can have severe consequences for victims, including emotional distress, anxiety, depression, and lower academic performance. Vulnerable groups, such as those perceived as different due to race, gender identity, or disability, are often targeted more frequently. Bullying has been linked to several school shootings as well.
So yesterday at the middle school, there was a child who, was taken because he had a list of 30 people who had been bullying him that he planned on taking out. And so how did this come about? How did we find out about it? Well, it wasn't administrators and it wasn't teachers. It was kids. It was other kids getting involved and actually coming forward with the information. And so instead of focusing on the 14-year-old child that had the list, who also had mental instability issues, emotional distress issues, who had literally been pulling his hair out from the level of stress, anxiety, and bullying that he was experiencing in the hallways and in the schools, we're going to talk about how it got to this point. Kids do not just wake up one day and decide, hey, this is a list of 30 people that I'm taking out. They don't do it. Kids don't wake up one day after they've been pulling their hair out from stress over and over and over with emotionally. They don't just say, hey, this is the day.
And it's not just the kids being bullied at school. Teachers can experience a range of challenging behaviors from students, including verbal abuse like insults, threats, or being mocked in front of the class. Some students might go further by disrupting lessons and openly defying the teacher's authority, which can lead to heated confrontations. Last year, a group of teachers in Ohio were prepared to strike if the school district didn't take significant steps to curb school violence. Teachers in Ontario, Canada, have also been vocal about problems in their schools.
We've got a full range of incidents taking place in our schools from day to day. We're deeply concerned that, they may range from a young person who may have difficulty with regulation and may lash out at another student or lash out at a teacher, leading to injury. We've heard from many teachers they've been injured on the job, but also to the more criminal element, or to the criminal element, I should say, where we've been hearing and finding weapons within schools, and there's been severe and very hardcore, really, assaults on school grounds that have led to police intervention and significant injury. So that's the worrisome piece. It's a full range of injury happening in our schools.
A recent report from the Learning Policy Institute looked at the different ways schools are trying to boost safety, which can be split into 2 main groups: ramping up physical security and building strong, supportive school communities. When it comes to physical security, schools use tactics like controlling building access, giving out badges to staff and visitors, setting up security cameras and metal detectors, and hiring school resource officers. When it comes to creating a safe and welcoming school environment, focusing on community support is now considered the most effective approach. Strategies like better access to mental health and counseling services, social and emotional learning programs, and building positive student-teacher relationships have all been shown to help reduce school violence and improve school morale. Even though mental health services are proven to help, schools often struggle to meet these needs. The report found, on average, U.S. public schools have just 1 counselor for every 408 students, and 1 school psychologist for every 1,127 students, with only 42% of schools offering any kind of mental health treatment services. Addressing violence in schools requires a multifaceted approach that goes beyond just security measures. Governments, communities, educators, and parents
must work together to create safer environments. This includes increasing funding for mental health services, training teachers in conflict resolution, and ensuring anti-bullying policies are effectively implemented and enforced. The path to achieving this is challenging, but together we can create schools where every student feels safe, supported, and ready to learn.
In eastern Uganda, UNN Field Messenger Diane embarks on a captivating journey to explore local community nestled along the Nile River.
Hello, this is Diane, Field Messenger for United Network News, reporting on the edge of the Nile River, Ginger City, eastern Uganda. Today I am passing through a small waterfront village. This $1 million view is underdeveloped, with a small population of families, business owners, renters who make up the community. As we enter on a dirt road, which is common in these parts, we come across the first vendor selling fruit and veggies. Local produce such as bananas, avocados, tomatoes, red onions, carrots and cabbage. She's been in the area for over 2 years and enjoys working by the River Nile. It's just come past 11 a.m. and this businesswoman is washing up after the breakfast rush, which is normally served porridge, soup and matuki, part of the local cuisine. This business owner is frying freshly caught fish of the day. Cooked by the ways of a wooden burner, we can see that she's prepared her fish in flour before she fries it in oil. The local shop owner, who stocks pantry goods such as bread, flour and salt, can be opened from 6 a.m. in the morning to 11 p.m. at night. We had to admire the fish that were drying on the rooftop.
And this little one.
The smaller business owner was a restaurant, and so we decided to stop and have some lunch.
Mama. A restaurant.
Yeah, eating Ugandan food. This is fish and all foods, potatoes. These are potatoes. We have posho. We have rice. We have, okay, there are 2 potatoes. Okay, we just cut some potatoes. Then fish, posho, rice, and potatoes and meat. It's just delicious and enjoy.
As we are heading out of town, we see some children peering through the cracks in the door. This is the TV room, where the locals are charged 2,000 shillings on entry to come and watch important events. This night, there would be football on. This has been my trip down a waterfront road that indeed would look very different under a restoration project. This is Diane for Eastern Uganda.
At UNN, you are the news. Get involved by joining our weekly Field Messenger meetings. Visit unitednetwork.earth to learn more. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me.